you're walking along out in the woods and everything looks normal to you, and all of a sudden it just looks completely backward to you. You don't even realize you've stepped through. What's the other side of that looking glass look like? How would you know at first, or would you even know at first?
Well, it's kind of an interesting thought, because the first thing that comes to my mind is our natural eye actually sees the world upside down.
Welcome back to Arkansas Bigfoot, everybody. Glad to have you with us today. We thought we would start right here for today's video. We had about 65 or 70 pounds worth of stuff in the bucket, and it was a little bit of a trick trying to juggle all of it to get it down here, so we just went ahead and got this portion of it set up. Get their little Christmas snack counter going. Had quite a few things for them today. Down on the box is the smoked oysters and sardines. We got some little tangerines, a little can of beanie weenies, cereal bag on top of the coffee can. Coffee can is absolutely full of cabbage stew, cabbage and potatoes and sausage and just a little bit of spices, and it's really good. Got their treat bag up here with the hot fries and granola bars, and got some fudge brownies in it, and just a little bit of everything. Some yogurt covered raisins, just all kinds of stuff in that bag. Little thing of pumpkin sauce, wanted to see if they'd try that. Their peanut butter and apples there inside the tree. Another bag of Cheerios and their popcorn. And up at the top, we're going to try this for Junior, because he seems to like all the hot and spicy stuff. Those are pickled Cajun hot sausages, and they will light your fire. So we're going to see if he likes those. You're standing here putting all this stuff together, and looked up the hill, and I could see a bunch of baggies laying by this tree, so I think we're going to go check it all out. If you want to grab the bucket, we'll head that way. So We don't have to keep making a loop.
All right.
Alright, so there's a pretty good scuff of something happening right there. See if you can see any footprints in it or if it's just dug out.
Yeah. It's a good question because I don't really see toes.
Alright, well, let's go on up there and look at that.
Kind of hard to say.
I can see right there on the ground in front of the tree, it looks like one of them's kind of cleared a place to sit.
Big flat spot.
Got it all going on here.
I think that's a small one. I tore that one clean off.
And that's what it looks like to me is the bottom end of that.
Someone's got a sharp nail.
That
or
sharp
something.
fingernail just cut that wide open. Same way
This
with
one
that
too.
one.
Right here. Alright.
We are getting close to the holiday and everybody is out roaring up and down the roads today, so we've got trains and planes and automobiles and the whole 9 yards happening.
Interesting.
Well, I know that has been built up a little more than what it was. It was just a brush pile that you could see all the way through it. Now they're building stuff around it, kind of like a hideout.
Would be a good looking spot.
There's another
Right in front of me.
big area right in front of your feet. That's all stomped in.
Ooh, they just come up here and sit and eat their snacks. And
Well, you can see that trail that runs back in behind Skunk Island. You know, they've got a footpath wore down. It's just a travel corridor.
that's just as quiet as can be behind that. I don't know if those are feet or...
It looks like foot scuffs in it.
That's another small one. Mama might be getting the babies out and teaching them a thing or two. Looks like about their size here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another bag over there under that cedar tree.
Steps there too.
That one, they just pulled the center out of it and ripped it.
Big ol' X right
It's
there.
like an Easter egg hunt. Behind you over there, I could see another peanut butter cup.
Little X here. Where'd you see it?
Walk to your left and around that little sapling.
Right there?
We'll just walk out around this way and see what else we discover. We normally take that trail over there to the left, but
Been a minute since we've been up here.
Alright, so if you haven't noticed by now, the picture probably looks a little bit different to all of you today. And we thought the best practical Christmas gift we could give everybody, us included, was a little more capable camera setup than all of the different ones that I've been using, trying to get 4 or 5 different cameras. We've condensed it all into one. I got a Sony AX53 that's got the IR night capability, the night shot on it, and it records in 4K and 1080p. Right now I'm in 1080p. We'll play with the 4K in a future video, but I know it has got to look a lot clearer than what it's been before, so hopefully that'll be a good little Christmas present for all of us concerned out here. Monday night, the 21st, was that the 21st? Mm-hmm. Monday night, we were on Mannimal Research podcast with Wayne. I'm going to put a link in the description box if anybody wants to go check it out. I also want to give a shout out to the guys over at Bigfoot Research Evidence podcast, and do a quick shout out to, I guess, 3. I'll do it in alphabetical order. We've got Mercury 80. She's doing a really good startup job with her channel. Got some really good videos on that. Got Northern Michigan Bigfoot. He's got some really good footage and videos on his channel. Wade the SquatchMan, go check him out. That'll probably be enough to keep everybody looking at videos for a while. We'll do another one here in the future, but you know, if you get a minute, go look at them. Like to see all of them hit their 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you find interest in them, give them a subscribe and a thumbs up and join along with them. I'm not seeing much more in the way of bags or peanut butter cups right in here, so they don't go too far before they start chomping down on it. Alright, so I'm going to pull my glasses down so I can see the monitor, and we're going to play with the zoom function on this for just a minute and let me know what you think. So it's got 20x optical zoom, and then it goes up to 200 and something on the digital zoom, which is, I don't know if anything would be clear at that magnification, but
it wants to go clear on the furthest point, right?
Seems like it takes it just a minute to settle in on what it's looking at. Alright, so we're at the halfway mark with the zoom right now. I think the pixelization, once it gets up over a certain point, is just so fuzzy and blurry that it would be hard to see unless you're panning out over several hundred yards. But it'll take a little bit of a learning curve for me to get used to all the functions on it. It's a little more intricate than what we've been using. Alright, so a few months back we did a video called Sasquatch Tones and Migrations, and I was talking about the ultrasonic sounds and the frequencies and how it may help someone if they're in a situation in the woods or out in nature where they find themselves basically behind the looking glass, another dimension, another portal. So let's play what if.
Okay.
Or what is it, I guess, might be a better way to question it. You're walking along out in the woods and everything looks normal to you, and all of a sudden it just looks completely backward to you. You don't even realize you've stepped through. What's the other side of that looking glass look like? How would you know at first, or would you even know at first?
Well, it's kind of an interesting thought, because the first thing that comes to my mind is our natural eye actually sees the world upside down. So my thought or question is, if we're not in the 3D, so to speak, is that world right side up? And would we see it differently? Or maybe not right side up, but a backward version?
Or would it possibly be flipped in your mannerisms of how you start doing everything? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of something I noticed yesterday. Normally, anytime we go anywhere or do anything, her natural pattern is she always veers off to the right, always does everything right-handed. And you can pretty much place a bet and win every time. If she goes out of a door at a store,
true.
she's going to go off to the right,
Not
regardless
yesterday.
of which way we parked. Yesterday it was a total opposite of that. Everything she did was left-sided.
Everywhere I went, left.
So would that be something to indicate that you're kind of in and out of both realms at the same time? Or
Possible. It's an interesting thought. And it's hard to remember sometimes that we have those mirrors in our eyes, and that it's actually flipping the image
right, it's
of what we see.
it's an upside down reflection of what actually is. We're standing here on our heads right now, hanging upside down, and if it weren't for gravity, we'd all be floating off into space. But
And I actually know for a fact that it's legit. I remember a couple years ago, I'd been working way too much, and at the time I was driving on my way to work, and literally everything turned upside down as I was driving. I was even trying to figure out how I was going to get off the road because it was so
beyond vertigo.
Yeah, way beyond vertigo, but I didn't feel dizzy or anything, pain, nothing. And then just as quick as I was trying to figure out how I was going to get off the road, it straightened out. So I'm sure there are different physical factors that can play into this, but if I hadn't actually seen everything flip upside down, I would have doubted it, and later was researching online, and they said that there's actually mirrors that take the image and flip it when we see it. And I thought, well, I'll be daggone. My mirrors broke for a second, but I got to see the world as it really was. Not sure I want to do that every day standing on my head, but it was interesting. So, it's a good question. If we step into another realm, another dimension, possible that everything looks entirely different.
Yeah, would we realize it, or would we just continue on and then become lost behind the curtain?
That's a good question. You know, we've always said that if something feels off, it probably is off. But if that's not a place that's uncomfortable or bearing any negativity, we might not know it.
It's an interesting concept to ponder. I've always had the thought that two identical things couldn't exist in the exact same spot at the exact same time. But technically, you're not. If, say, for instance, there was the other version of you, the mirror version of you, identical in everything all the way down to the most minute cellular structure, but just in opposite.
Okay.
You're technically not standing in the same place. You might be in the same dimension, but that doesn't mean that you're, inhabiting each other's actual physical personal space. So two of them could exist in the same dimension. Does that make any sense? Or
I'm tracking what you're saying. I'm just thinking about it. And then there's always the thought, the way that a lot of the layers between dimensions work, they're almost more like a film than they are a physical structure. I think a lot of us imagine it more like a room, and it's not necessarily.
Just a layer upon a layer upon another layer. Seeing something over there on the ground. I don't know if it's another baggie or what it is. I can't tell from here. Yeah, it's another baggie wadded up, and maybe a piece of I don't know if that's wood or a piece of a deer bone. It's a piece of wood. That's one of another balloon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm picking up somebody's stash.
Alright, so right now we are up on the slope off of Skunk Island, and right straight in front of me across that little low ravine is that last gifting tree. We're going to walk on through this brush area for a minute and see if we can find any more spots where they've been sitting or collecting up their treats and bringing them to wherever. Alright, so to finish that thought from earlier, you're inside the magic mirror on the wall and you finally realized it, and how do you get out? You have to break the frequency resonance in order to step back through some way, shape, or form. And since most things that are in that realm are of a higher frequency, a higher vibrational rate than what we experience normally in our 3D world, you have to have something that will pierce or resonate against it, which is going to be a high tone frequency, which is why I suggested the dog whistles or anything of a 60 hertz or higher, because I feel like the vibration of that could, if you've ever watched a crystal glass right before it shatters at a high C note, it almost becomes liquefied for just a brief moment. You could literally pass an object through it, toothpick or something like that. So that's the same principle, the same ideology behind that.
If you get it to the right frequency.
If you can get it to the right pitch or frequency, you could pass back through. Alright, so this is where normally you hear the whoops and the knocks coming from, guys. All down in this. And there's just tons of little footprints running around. A few big ones I can see pressed down in the leaf litter.
This is kind of mama's territory back there too.
Alright, so there's the fallen log from standing at the back gifting tree in that last video. As we were walking up, I said I saw something pass near the fallen log farther back. That's it, right in front of the camera. And you can see this low ravine running out through there, all down into that deeper, thicker bottom. But there's just all kinds of indentations and partial prints here. This spot right here, you see this tree that's got all of this hanging off of it. Perfect hideout spot for something to be standing. And did you just hear that thump back there?
I did.
The chest thump. But right there, they've been standing in it so much that it looks like a steamroller has compacted that section right there. Alright, so this is the mound on Skunk Island. The back gifting tree is up that direction about 55 yards. Not seeing baggies or
I know. I don't.
any kind of stuff like that up here right now.
It's kind of odd.
So my suspicion is the front tree, the younger ones are the ones that get into that, and then the bigger ones come back here and get into this and carry it deeper off.
A lot of the impressions I'm seeing back there are bigger, but kind of hard to validate without a mud print.
I spoke too soon.
Oh. Well, this is where we found those leathers that time.
Yeah, this is where they picked up those little pieces of scrap leather that we left and carried them off to this thing.
In fact, they're gone. They were right here.
There's a peanut butter cup there. And a baggie off to the right.
So you got a big butt right behind you, and it's like almost round.
Are you insulting me again? You got a big butt right behind you. Thanks, you too.
No. That definitely didn't come out right.
You can see how all of this is just trampled down. They've been sitting and probably taking naps and everything else.
I gotta figure, even if they're watching, if we come come up the other side. It's a great sitting spot.
Other than that one little peanut butter cup, and that baggie, that's all I see back on this part of it. I figured it would be like the other area up there and just have them all back in here.
And they've got a spot they're taking, because a lot of these things are disappearing.
You know, this time they just stood right there and ate it. It's all laying in front of the tree.
Yeah, the habits are totally different. For whoever comes back here, leaves it right here. Whoever's up there takes it.
Now we're going to pause this for a minute, guys, and get this tree fixed up. Alright, so we got them all set up on this one. Same drill as the other tree. Pretty much everything that the first one had, this one's got. As much stomping around as we've done back there behind Skunk Island. I doubt we're going to get any kind of reply clacking the rocks, but we'll go ahead and try it anyway. Let's walk on over there and get that done, and I've got another thing that we're going to look at. Like it was. Yeah, I didn't think so, because we've been all back in that. I think what we're going to do is wrap this video up for right now and work on some of the SLS imagery on Rachel's camera, and if I get any interesting clips off of her video, I'll tag a few onto the back side of this for you to take a look at. But go check out Into the Veil. She'll have some interesting things for you on that as well. Appreciate everybody tagging along today. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year if we don't see you before then. Be safe and have a festive holiday season. Thanks.